Hello and welcome to this third video looking at you as a SIP. And this third video really covers the conversation that we had in April about ensuring greater consistency in the way in which we record the outcome of our meetings and support the writing of the school self-evaluation form, and that we complete the filling in of that, because as Deb has said throughout our time together in April, that if it's not recorded and it's not written down, whatever took place in that conversation between you as a SIP and the school leader didn't happen. Because EAS haven't got that knowledge, information and data, and they're unable to pass it on to the local authority. So it's really important that those reports are done and they're of consistent high quality. So there's already discussion underway about reworking the report format to make it easier to use. So you'll be hearing more about that shortly. But let's have a look at the conversation then that took place. We gave the SIPs a range of reports to look at of variable quality, some very good, some poor, some in the middle. And as a result, asked them to define a set of quality questions that they might ask when they're completing that report, finalising it, proofreading it, and so on. And this is what they came up with. So again, I'll share my screen. And as I'm sharing this with you, perhaps you might want to think whether or not you would have come up with the same, or perhaps something different. So let's have a look at these slides. Okay. Okay. So we asked them to create a series of questions beginning to what extent, as a result of looking at a range of reports in their small groups. And this is what they came up with. And these are in a sense, our quality assurance questions as SIPs we will begin to start to use and probably add to them. So to what extent is my report clear, concise, based on first-hand evidence, evaluative, so it comes from data, large and small data that's been analysed and evaluated with clear evidence of impact. So everything goes right through from the first-hand evidence through to the impact. And that tracking is clearly seen in the report. You might ask, to what extent does it demonstrate alignment with the school's self-evaluation and indication of the quality of the school's own self-evaluation? And if there's a bit of a mismatch, what conversation took place to try to close that gap? Is the report detailed enough to give a clear picture of the visit, not purely descriptive, but evaluative as well? Because one of the reports we looked at was very, very descriptive and was very little analysis or evaluation at all. Does it give a clear picture of the context of the school? Because of course we know context is important, that we know that context in school when we're reading the report, including the area of focus for improvement, with clear agreed actions documented, and pointers to more professional learning if required. Is that in there? Is it clear? Is it clear, see-through and pathway through that? Does it align with the school's self-evaluation, as I mentioned earlier? And if it doesn't, it's discussed and documented. So those two go together. And is it co-constructed? Does it feel fair? And was it agreed by the head teacher? So they're fairly clear, really. And with some of these reports, less is more. Some of them were too detailed in order to be able to see the wood for the trees. So you might want to think about that as well. And we also talked about when impact might get leaky as you go through your time in the school. The extent to which the report is going to be very, very clear on impact starts to become at risk, starts to become less likely. And again, this is what was said in the conversation. When the evidence collection activities that you take part in on the day are not wholly rated to the agreed focus that the school has set in terms of an area of improvement. So it starts to just sort of shift a little bit and float away a bit from the agreed focus. When time isn't given to agreeing the outcomes and getting shared agreement on the report with the head teacher. So it's rushed at the end, and that doesn't happen. And this is linked to the third one, where there isn't time to write up the report and time elapses before you get to writing up the report. And it's pretty clear then that knowledge is lost. And when the focus of the SIP visit is either too broad, and there's just too much there, and it's very hard to get enough substantial evidence to respond to that focus because it's just too broad, or it does start to slip during the day. So just going back to the time to write up the report, I mean, this did come up quite a bit, and there was a fairly general agreement that it's harder to do it once you leave the school. And you have a day for these visits. And so those SIPs who've written the report as part of the meeting with the head teacher at the end of the day find it a lot easier. You know, the notes can be written up on a flip chart or on post-its as you have the conversation. You have the form, the pro forma on your laptop or your iPad. And I think that the work that's been done on reworking the report will help with that and make it probably easier to do on the day as part of the conversation. So the head sees it, you see it at the same time. There's no toing and froing after the visit. And while it's very, very fresh, very fresh and live. So that's the writing of the report. We know from what many have said that it comes with practice. So do please reach out to other SIPs, take a look at some of the reports that they've written. Ask Jonathan to let you see a confidential sample of some reports that are really good. And please don't feel afraid of reaching out, because I know that many of the SIPs feel that this is really important and they want to do a really good job on behalf of the school, so that the message from the school and its impact, it's in safe hands with you as a SIP, and you can then pass that on to EAS and they pass that on to the local authority back to the school. So the clarity of that report is really important. Okay, so that's the third recording on making sure that the quality and the consistency of the reports that you write are really high. Thank you.